Hello and welcome to today's session. I hope you're all doing amazingly well from whichever part of the world you are watching. I remember, like, I'm taking you back in time. So this was probably 2006, 2007, a long time ago, nearly 2 decades ago. And I had been in the wellness industry now for a number of years. I had been the spa and wellness directors of quite important wellness operations within hotels. I had also become the regional director of spa and wellness for a hotel brand. Then I ended up becoming also the global director of spa and wellness. And each of these years I worked, and as I grew, I learned the ins and outs of wellness operations, particularly in a hotel. I also learned what it was like to look after a number of wellness offerings and wellness properties where you might be part of the same brand, but you have a different owner in each location. And I also got to experience what it means to be that person who is deciding at a global level what kind of wellness operations are being built, what kind of agreements are being signed, and so on. So, in a short space of time, I had learned a lot. And I always wanted to be this person, to be learning, to be growing. I always had that ambition in me. And then I remembered in like 2005, 2006, what I was missing was the Middle East, experience in the Middle East, and doing a pre opening of a very, very large operation. And I got that opportunity for a fantastic brand. And it was such a beautiful experience. I learned so much, and I definitely got out of my comfort zone in every possible way. And when I look back at that experience, it was such a blessing in disguise. But when I was in it, it was very, very challenging. But what emotion has stayed with me, that feeling that I had, I remember towards the end of my stint in Doha and Qatar, I remembered feeling this sense of frustration that I knew so much about wellness operations. And I had come to this point where I saw that I did not have any more growth opportunity. And I also saw that on a regional level or on a global level, that for me to actually get to those positions or, be in a state that I could apply for those positions, a number of years would have to pass by. And I'd probably have to do a number of other different locations, maybe some more challenging and or less challenging. And I remember feeling that sense of impatience that, I don't want to wait that long for that. I know my worth. And I also remember being frustrated. And that feeling of having that crystal ceiling over my head that this is as far as I'm going here. I am not going to progress anytime soon. Now, what I do want to clarify is I'm not saying that I wouldn't have benefited from a number of years to actually become ready to take on more responsibility. I'm just talking about how I felt at that moment, given all the experience I had. And sitting there thinking, okay, I have reached my crystal ceiling. There is no way I can grow. And if I want to grow the way I want to at my pace, I'm going to probably have to leave here and set up shop on my own. I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. My father was an entrepreneur. So I guess that's something that's always been in me. And I did not hesitate at all to take the leap to set up shop on my own. But if you are in that situation, that you feel that crystal ceiling, you know that you've got a number of solid years of experience, you're good at strategy, you're good at creation of wellness concepts, you know how to lead a happy team, you know how to manage quite a challenging or demanding operations, and you can get them to success. You know all those things, and you also know that you can't grow anymore just because you've reached that dead end. If that is you, today's session has been created specifically for you. You're going to find that very useful, what I'm going to share now. That crystal ceiling, that trap, why many talented wellness directors actually feel in this catch-22 situation. You know, they're doomed if they stay because they'll constantly feel that they're not growing. And they're doomed if they do leave because they're going to leave a job that they love. And with that comes all the fear and getting to know a new place, or if you want to set up shop on your own, learning actually how to become an entrepreneur. That in itself is also challenging. Now, while this is who I'm creating this episode for, I also want to speak to my landowners who want to create something meaningful, irrespective of where you are in your journey, whether you're still at that blueprint phase, still designing your retreat, your resort, your boutique hotel, or you're in the pre-opening phase, or you've already been up and running for a couple of years. Irrespective of where you are in that journey, I think you will also find this episode very valuable because wellness is something that matters to you. And you need a solid wellness leader if you want to have a solid wellness offering that delivers your guests the transformative experiences. So, knowing where your wellness director is, knowing what thoughts are going through their head, meeting them where they are, is going to ensure that you have the right candidate looking after your wellness offering, or maybe even becoming the general manager of your boutique hotel. So let's dive in to today's topic. And specifically, why we feel this frustration, we feel this trap that we are in. And it almost seems that it's a paradox. Like the more successful you become, the more trapped you feel. The better you get at wellness, the harder it gets to leave or actually want to leave the place you are in. And today I want to talk about why this happens and what you can do to bypass it in the end. So I'll be covering what I call the golden handcuffs phenomenon. I'm so familiar with them in my days, back in my Goldman Sachs days. I'll also talk about how sometimes your passion can also become your prison, and the three limiting beliefs that keep you operational, and what is the first step you can take to break free if you are ready to break free. So going back to golden handcuffs. Now, golden handcuffs is not about money, right? Though it's an important part of life. These are, when I talk about golden handcuffs, these are also all the invisible chains that keep you bound to a situation that perhaps no longer serves you, or you've outgrown that situation. And in the wellness industry, we have three kinds of these golden handcuffs. The first one is that passion trap. You love what you do, and to a certain point, very few people out there actually do enjoy their job. So there is this kind of feeling that you should be grateful that you're actually doing what you love doing. And we're the select few, the lucky people who have found our calling and can earn a living out of it. And the problem with that is that if directors of food and beverage or chefs, for example, they love their craft, you will notice that they earn at least 20 or 30 grand more than the wellness director who has equal, if not more, numbers of years of experience under their belt. And the trap here, in the passion trap that we end up telling ourselves, is that at least we're doing what we love doing. And that can also become a golden handcuff. And then we also have what one could call how your expertise also becomes your trap or your prison. So you have spent years building that specialized knowledge, and it would feel like starting all over again, and wasting all that investment in your time and building your expertise if you had to leave your current job or leave the industry entirely. And we get to this point thinking, wow, I'm doing what I really love doing. And I'm lucky and I shouldn't complain about that. And on top of that, it's kind of that sunken costs where you've invested so much in upskilling yourself, in learning the day to day, the ins and outs of wellness operations, right from the bottom up to the top. You've learned that whole day to day operations as well as strategy and putting on several hats that you sometimes feel that you're really trapped where you are and what else can you do? And what I want to offer is your expertise is actually your ticket out. It's just that you can't see it yet. And then the last subject within this golden kind of handcuffs is the whole thing to do with identity. So, in effect, when we have worked with top brands for several years in a row, we know the luxury segment, we know wellness is being looked after well, we have created many success stories, we are loved within these companies. It's so easy for our job title to become our identity. So we identify with being a wellness director versus I work as a wellness director. And if you left this job, this particular position, it feels like you'll be losing yourself an important part of your identity. And here, what I want to encourage is that looking at yourself as a wellness director, it's more of an identity shift. So we're not talking about your identity, but instead we're talking about your skill set. So let's dive into these concepts a bit more. And like when we're going into our golden handcuffs, and particularly where your passion becomes your trap, your expertise becomes your prison, your job title becomes part of your identity. The problem is that wellness, I guess any position within hospitality, attracts passionate and caring people. And hoteliers know this. And without them realizing it, they end up using it against you. Now, hold on when I'm saying this. It's not something that's intentional, that they're out there to get you. They know that hospitality and then wellness within hospitality is not for the faint hearted. And once they know they've got highly passionate and devoted and dedicated people, they will they will exploit it to a certain extent. Now, exploit sounds a terrible word, but they will be taking advantage of it because that's precisely the kind of people they need to serve their guests. And they know that you will accept that you will have to work weekends, that you will have to work on holidays, that you will have to work Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. And they also know that you won't complain about a budget cut because you believe in wellness. You know that this is how hospitality works. We can't have unlimited budget, and we genuinely can't have unlimited budget. But the the subject here is that hoteliers know that what they do is not for the faint-hearted, and they know that it attracts a very specific type of profile, and they take advantage of that profile because that's precisely who they need in order for the business to work. Sorry. And this is where things get into kind of the challenging route. You end up having or living the squeeze where day by day, you find that your responsibilities are gradually increased without getting more resources because they know you're passionate. They know you love what you do. They know you will go the extra mile to serve our guests. And that extra mile ends up becoming part of your day to day responsibilities, again, with limited resources. So whenever you need to cover reception, you will cover reception. And if you have a therapist background, you will jump in and do treatments. And if something needs to be fixed, if you know how to fix that piece of equipment, of course, you will fix that. So each yes that you say to every single day makes the next ask of you even easier. And you get even more committed and even more trapped in this kind of you love hospitality, this is what's required. And then clearly, when it becomes unsustainable, you enter into what I called a guilt cycle because you try to set boundaries. You end up knowing that you can't work every single weekend. You can't be the person covering every single reception shift, plus doing all your strategy work. There comes a point where you can't continue. And when you start setting your boundaries, sometimes you find that you are met with this. I thought you cared about wellness. I thought you liked what you do. I thought this was your passion. And that is when you kind of think, oh God, yeah, that's true. I mean, this is hospitality, and yeah, I might need to stay on for a VIP guest. I can't be the one who's being unreasonable and saying no while I expect my team to be delivering. And to a certain extent, it is this passion, this love for your craft that allows your boundaries to be kind of more flexible to a certain extent. I wouldn't say for it to be exploited, but it's allowed to be more, fluid. And then you come to this point where you reach the breaking point where you start resenting the thing that you once loved. Your guests, your demanding guests who before you loved and went the extra mile to ensure they were happy, now become, those difficult people. Instead of, this is my purpose, I'm here to serve them. And doing treatments, instead of you thinking that here is each treatment and this is the transformation we're going to deliver this guest, it ends up becoming a transaction, a number, saying, I need more treatments today to meet my revenue targets, and the more expensive, the better. And let's see who I have on staff to be doing those treatments. So just want to clarify that it's not your passion that is failing you. It's just the way hospitality has been built. That system in which we work is no longer relevant today. And that's actually what ends up exploiting our passion. And exploiting is a hard word, but it takes advantage of that passion instead of really making that passion thrive and take you to the next level. And when you get to the point where I was, where you are so frustrated, you want to grow, you want to do more. Yes, you want to be that hands-on wellness director. Yes, you want to be able to cover reception. Yes, you want to be able to jump in and do a treatment. Yes, you have no problem folding towels or picking soiled towels. You have no problem doing that. But there comes a point where you don't progress. You reach that point of deep frustration. You want more. And then you start entertaining either should I leave this place, go to another place, probably they'll give me a higher salary or a higher position. Or you're thinking, oh, maybe I, could even set up shop on my own. And that is when the limiting beliefs start invading our minds. And the first limiting belief is that I need more skills. So it's about getting better at sales. It's about nailing your profit and loss. It's about nailing finance. It's about getting another certification. And why that doesn't work and why this limiting belief doesn't serve you is that you already have the skills. You, on a day to day basis, without you realizing it, are already solving strategic problems. So the issue isn't your competence, it's the context in which you are using your skills. And you're fundamentally trying to be good at nine different jobs. As we always say, the wellness director is like the mini GM. You're the sales and marketing director. You're the director of human resources. You're also the person who sorts out maintenance issues when there is a problem. You're also the person who's ordering everything that you need. You jump into reception if you need to. You do a treatment if you need to. You come on your day off if you need to. You create the business strategy. You create the pricing policy. You're literally doing 9 to 10 jobs in your one particular job. So the reality is that you already have these skills. You already manage complex teams and a very complex business. So without you realizing it, you already think like a consultant. You just don't package your skill set in that way. The second belief or limiting belief is that this is just the industry we are in, right? Hospitality is tough, wellness is tough. This is not for the faint hearted. Everyone is working long hours. And at least I have job security. I'm with a good brand. And if I wanted to move locations, I could. So it's just accepting, the nature of the beast. And here's why that's wrong, thinking that way, because you don't see directors of sales trying to fix broken equipment or directors of human resources. Other departments or other department heads have created their boundaries, except us in wellness, because we're trying to prove our worth to the rest of the hotel. And we just get on with it. We get on doing the 9 jobs we are given. And the reality is that we just have to acknowledge the industry has problems. The business model that was created is probably relevant or has become obsolete right now. It was relevant 50 years ago when it was created 100 years ago, but it's no longer relevant to today's business reality, to today's life reality. And it's important to know that other wellness professionals out there do work normal hours and they get paid to work those normal hours. So they just choose a different structure. They're not changing their industry. They still create wellness concepts. They still are in the industry they want to be in. They just choose a different structure. And the last limiting belief is I can't leave because of X, Y, Z. We are telling ourselves that I can't leave this company. I've worked here for 7 years. Or this brand really looks after me. They look after their staff. I have X number of holidays. They give me health insurance. Or I've even recently heard because I'm too old to start over. And I can't do because this is all I know. I don't know anything else. I've never done anything else. And the truth is that if you think your team needs you and you can't leave them, you know that if a business can't run without you, something is fundamentally wrong. And if you're too old, you got too many years experience, know that experience is your biggest asset. It's not your age or your experience that is a problem. And your wellness expertise is valuable in several different contexts. Again, this is kind of shedding that old identity that I am a wellness director instead of I work as a wellness director. So, how do we now actually break free from these limiting beliefs? How do we break past these golden handcuffs that we have actually put on ourselves at the end of the day? And I think the question you should be asking yourselves is not, how can I get better at this impossible job, doing 9 jobs in just one person? Instead, asking yourself, how can I use my expertise in a better structure? So, what I would like for you to do, my wellness director friends, if you are in this situation where you can see, oh, yes, this is, my expertise person. I can see where my passion has become my trap. I can see where my job title has become my identity. And I can see these subconscious limiting beliefs that are out there that I don't know anymore. I don't think I can do anything else. This is just the way the industry is. Or the several reasons you can't leave the job. I want you to sit down and for the next 7 days, do an audit. So from today, tomorrow, and day after. So for the first 3 days, just document, nothing else. Document every strategic decision you make. Be it pricing, be it sales and marketing, be it noticing what team members do I need, etc. And after you've documented for 3 full days every single strategic decision you make, in days 4 and 5, I want you to know which of your colleagues, be it sales and marketing, food and beverage, people in culture, finance, who have come to you to seek your wellness expertise, no one else's, but your wellness expertise. And then in day 6 and 7, list all the ideas you have for improving your property or improving also the other properties in the hotel or in the chain you're working for. And as you document, what are the strategic decisions you already make? Who are the people who reach out to you for your wellness expertise, and listing all the ideas that you know will improve properties? Here's what's going to happen. You're going to discover that you're already solving consultant level problems. Your brain naturally thinks strategically when it's not buried in operations, even if you think you're not a strategic person. And you have valuable insights that other properties would definitely pay for. So know that you're not trapped in this catch-22 situations. You're not just trapped below the crystal ceiling. You're trapped not because of a lack of skills, but you're trapped because you are using these high-level strategic skills for a role that's highly operational and is all about putting out fires. So next week, what I want to do is go over the 3 exit strategies that a wellness director has. And I'll go through the first exit strategy, and that is how to become an internal consultant within your hotel group. And you'll be surprised by how many wellness directors are already doing this successfully. So I hope you found this useful, that if you find you are in this frustrating situation where you feel impatient, that you can't grow any longer, and if you want to grow, you're going to either have to leave the company or go set up shop on your own. I just want you to know that you already have all those skills. You don't need another certification. You just need to sit down and audit. What are the things you're already doing that show that you think like a consultant? What strategic decisions do you make on a day to day basis? Who is reaching out to you for your expertise? And what are the ideas you know deep down would have an impact in a property, in another property, in your property? And you know that if they just implemented that they would have success, or at least they'll be in a better place than where they are now. So do that consultant moments audit for the next 7 days to just kind of anchor you back to your skill, to your passion, and know that you are not trapped where you are right now. There are ways out of this. And on that inspiring note, I wish you all a beautiful day ahead. Take care now.